All right, everyone, we are scoring a glorious victory against ethnocentrism and racism. Donald Trump has had pretty much the entire East Wing demolished. It was put up by FDR, the communist back in the 1940s, who dragged us into various moral turpitudes like firebombing civilians or putting people in concentration camps because they were of Asian ethnicity. Donald Trump should be celebrated right now by the left. Not too many years ago, you were throwing down statues of people who, in some cases, never owned a slave in their life because they were, according to you, they were symbols of racism. They were symbols of hatred towards people of a different complexion than yours. Donald Trump just erased part of FDR's legacy in order to build his ballroom. It will be rebuilt, but it won't have been built under the FDR administration with its concentration camps and completely illegal spying on American citizens and ignoring the Constitution. By the way, FDR, remembered erroneously as one of the greatest US presidents. Why? Because he happened to be there when World War II culminated. That's literally the only reason why. Most of his policies were bullshit. Electrification, that's probably the standalone is something that actually worked. By the way, watch the movie Where the Rivers Run North. It takes place in Vermont, if I remember correctly, actually. Very, very good movie, very well acted. Dude with the hook on his hand beats the shit out of several people, makes a lot of money doing so. Sort of a transitory movie between the way that things were and the way that things are now. It's symbolic. It's a good movie though. It's well acted, so I think you'll enjoy it. No, I'm having a great time at this. Finally, after over 100 years of people speculating that they wanted a ballroom at the White House, you're finally going to get it. It's being built using private funds. And now the old remnants of the past have been, much like where the rivers flow north, swept away. Donald Trump has just destroyed a symbol of racism, hatred, and overt bureaucracy. Just that and FDR wanting to boff random people is basically the reason why the East Wing was built in the first place. While it will be rebuilt, it will not be the same as before. That'll have an addendum that is actually fucking useful. So I congratulate Donald Trump, the anti-racist, on destroying this trapping of a horrific period in our human history, in our nation's history, where we put hundreds of thousands of people based solely on their ethnicity, lawful residents and citizens, by the way. Didn't matter if you were a citizen. You got a Japanese sounding name. You're going to camp for the summer. Well, it'll be more than one summer, but George Takei, by the way, one of the keynote liberals, he was one of them. He was there with his family. For some odd reason, he has adopted socialism and embraced the Democratic Party despite what it did to his family. I'm not sure what their reaction to that particularly would be. Talented man, also a little bit on the nutty side. We'll give him credit where credit's due. He's funny. So, you've got that. Stern Universe. There was that one call where he calls up the Christian line and he's like talking about having a genital zapping device and slipping back into Homo Town and stuff like that. It was pretty funny. Let me tell you, I wish I still had the clip. I'll probably be able to find it, thankfully. But yeah, FDR's legacy being partially erased is, I believe, a good thing. How is this different from throwing down a Confederate statue? Let me ask the liberals that. Well, this person fought for the Confederacy, therefore they's fighting for slavery. Now, the person may literally have been forced to fight and not ever owned a slave at all. They might have been an anti-slavery individual and simply believed in some civic purpose for fighting the Union. Their statue gets thrown down, because quite clearly the fact that they were, in the South at all at that time means they were obviously evil, racist, and wrong. But FDR, meanwhile, is a literal proposed bigoted racist, made comments quite frequently about Asian Americans, as well as Germans and a few other groups of people. There were some Italians in there too, if I remember correctly. Among other undesirables, did this frequently, constantly harassed people using the legal system, like, the latent FBI sort of thing, sort of like a proto, J. Edgar Hoover sort of tactics to try to go after people that he did not like. Investigations and subpoenas and all of this other legalese bullshit that hopefully you never have to know anything about because it is quite tedious and it's completely corrupt. Uh, tedious level 8 out of 10. Corrupt level fucking 11 out of 10. So yeah, it's been erased. Bye-bye, FDR. You know, you're not president anymore. Thank goodness. Also, he ran for 4 terms, died in office, then gave us Truman. What a wonderful time. So yeah, link in the description. I'm McLovin it. I want to watch the entire Demolition footage actually, just so I can sit there and undulate with chuckles or something like that. FDR was a son of a bitch. Donald Trump is considerably less ethnocentric. Let's put it that way. Donald Trump serves taco bowls at Trump Tower. FDR probably would have called you racial slurs if you suggested eating a taco bowl. Trump doesn't give a shit what color you are as long as the color of your money is green. Or a crypto. If it's digital, that's fine to him too. FDR, he probably wouldn't have taken money from a Chinaman because he would have said, "Oh God, now I've got to wipe my hands off and stuff. God damn, get that fucking flu." So it was a weird situation where the only socialist, avowed socialist, who's ever run the United States in the executive capacity, and who destroyed the economy and kept it down for a long time to get people to be subservient. He was a tyrant, is remembered as one of the greatest presidents, especially by people on the left. Whereas then you have somebody who's erasing that racist legacy, which is the ultimate goddamn fucking irony. It's Donald Trump doing it. Considering the press that he's gotten on issues related to this, I'm sorry, I couldn't help but make a fucking video about this. Now FDR's East Wing has been destroyed and will have to be rebuilt in a new image. Hopefully the interior decor has changed because it looked a little bit sparse actually too. Like here you've got this big ornate White House and it's full of history and paintings and stuff like that. It looks good, honestly. But then you've got this adjacent building, you know, it's connected to it, but it's technically a different building that looks like an episode of The Office, quite literally. It's just not quite the same. Hopefully Trump spiffies that up too as part of his ballroom preparations. I'm having a great time watching people spurg out about this one because not one of them appears to know any iota of US history. Certainly not the history of the White House, and in more general terms, certainly not the history of the civics of the United States. So thank you, Trump. You have destroyed, unlike the leftoids who were throwing down statues of people who never even involved themselves in slavery, you've actually destroyed a relic of racism and hate within the United States. It's almost like tearing down the Berlin Wall. So, yeah, we'll give Trump 2 thumbs up for this particular effort. That's about all. Peace out.